Salamence, the dragon Pokémon. Welcome everyone, I'm exceptional and I hope you are too. Today we will be rounding out our pseudo showdown to see if Salamence has what it takes to beat Pokémon FireRed, including the Round 2 Elite Four, the fastest. Last week we pitted Dragonite, Tyranitar, and Metagross against each other, but Gen 3 introduced two pseudo-legendary Pokémon lines, so here we are today. Despite this being a solo Pokemon video, since it ties into our verses from last week, I will be following my versus format, with Salamence starting fully evolved with the option of a single egg move. Salamence is going to be moving fast, so let's jump into the action. I am coming into this with the experience of running 6 pseudo playthroughs recently, so in the initial playthrough, Salamence definitely has an advantage. I move through Viridian Forest, clearing a few trainers along the way. Salamence has a lower defensive stat than Dragonite, so I do foresee Brock giving us a little bit of extra trouble. I lead off against Brock at level 10. Geodude falls in 2 bites, which is encouraging, but then the bigger problem, Onix, is out. He hits a Rock Tomb for about a third of our health and lowering our speed. This prompts me to believe that our little extra grinding was worth it as we get the 3-shot with Bite. We finish the battle in good shape. As we continue along routes 3 and 4 towards Mount Moon, I have to take a second to reflect on Salamence's opening moveset. We start with Rage, Bite, Leer, and Headbutt. Leer I have replaced with our egg move of choice, Dragon Dance. This gives us a great physical option with Headbutt and a special option with Bite, as Dark-type moves are all classified as special in Gen 3. With the exception of Metagross, I feel like this is the strongest opening set of the pseudos. On my way through Mount Moon, I make sure to grab the Dome Fossil. Be sure to keep your love of your fossil of choice alive in the comment section. In Cerulean, I target Rival 2 first, as I believe he'll be much easier than Misty at level 15. I don't believe Rock Tomb will get the Oko, so I go for Headbutt first, hoping for the flinch. We don't get it, but we take him out on the next turn. Rattata is of no consequence, and then I use Abra, who can't do anything to us, to set up 2 DDs. Bulbasaur hits the field, and instead of allowing him to be a nuisance, a +2 Headbutt takes him out in 1. I don't clear any trainers other than what's mandatory on the way to Misty. Because Headbutt has the same base power as Secret Power, I did not collect it and use Headbutt to Oko or one-hit knockout Staryu. Because Starmie is Psychic and Water type, we get to use super effective Bite to 2-shot Starmie while she does minimal damage with Swift. Our first 2 badges sure went by quickly. The SSN is our next stop, where after healing I make a quick stop in the second room from the left on the first deck that you enter. I'm making sure to grab TM31 Brick Break, which has 75 base power, not 70 like I thought in my previous video. I can be taught. I also grabbed the trash can berries on the way up to Rival 3. Bahamut makes short work of Rival 3's team. I felt like Bahamut was a good nickname for Salamence because no matter what universe you're in, the lore surrounding Bahamut is synonymous with draconic power. Next, we face down Lieutenant Surge for our 3rd badge. Leaning once again on my experience from the previous pseudo runs, I elect to use a single DD against Voltorb before taking it and the following Pikachu out in 1. Raichu is last and Headbutt misses the Oko, leaving him in deep red. Our berry keeps us from being paralyzed, and a couple of turns later we secure the Thunder badge. I head back to Cerulean, grabbing the bicycle and heading east towards Rock Tunnel. Along the way, I make sure to grab an important item for Bahamut, TM40 Aerial Ace. This will be a great stab, or same type attack bonus, flying move for us that's also bypasses accuracy checks, so we won't get tripped up by Sand Attack or minimized from Koga's Muck. I make my way through Rock Tunnel and immediately head south of Lavender Town to the Gatehouse to grab TM27 Return. I'm not 100% sure that we're going to need it, but especially for a first playthrough, I find that it pays to pick up a few extra items to keep our options open later in the game. Next, I complete the typical mid-game chores and head to clear the Rocket Hideout. Bahamut has not slowed down once so far, so after clearing the hideout, I swing down to Erica's gym to clear it out as well. I clear the trainers on the left-hand side of the gym for the attack EVs from Bellsprout and defense from Exeggcute. I don't plan on using many special moves in the league on Salamence. Against Erica herself, I have taught Aerial Ace to Bahamut, and stab super effective Aerial Ace Okos her whole team without batting an eye. Rival 4 in Pokemon Tower is our next major battle, although it never really feels like one. Usually by this point in the game, you've cleared a bunch of mandatory trainers and you're overleveled for this rival fight as a solo Pokemon. I'll quickly discuss my nature. I've gone with a serious nature, which is neutral. Despite my plan to make Bahamut very physically focused in the late game, I didn't want to sacrifice the utility of Bite in the early game. We took some hits in this battle, with Gyarados leaving us at 69 HP remaining. Nice. I finish the tower, rescuing Mr. Fuji, and head to Silphco next. I find that finishing the rocket plotline before going to Fuchsia City is more optimal if the Pokemon that we're running is capable of doing it. Bahamut seems more than capable, so I target only the highest value items for him. PowerPoint items, rare candy, carbos, and protein, plus any extras that are directly in our path for some cash. This leads us to Rival 5. Both other pseudos that had Dragon Dance had no problem here. I set up 1 DD against Pidgeot before knocking him out with 2 aerial aces. I set up 2 more against Gyarados, and I do have a Citrus Berry equipped for safety. It's needed here as I get a little bit more setup. Gyarados falls, but we're only at 23 health. That's 1/3 of being nice. Our setup allows us to carve through his remaining team. I switched to Bite against Alakazam because reasons? I should have just stuck with aerial ace the whole time. Giovanni gave some trouble to our other dragon flying pseudo in the last video, so let's check him out. Because of the knowledge afforded to us by doing the last video, I set up 3 DDs against his lead Nidorino before going on the offense. Brick Break handles Rhyhorn and Kangaskhan handedly, but it's when Nidoqueen hits the field that even though he has no chance of winning, Giovanni throws a little bit of salt in, poisoning us on the last turn. Bahamut smirks, and we move on. We're a fast, hard-hitting physical attacker, so I have a good feeling about how this upcoming Sabrina fight will go. I could have saved a bit of time here by using DD before going for the sweep, but this battle is as concise as they come. Leaning on experience once again, I realized that I likely need to do some grinding, so after defeating Sabrina, I pop next door to clear the fighting dojo for experience and the attack EVs. I then buy as many vitamins as I can in the department store and head towards Cycling Road. I don't clear any additional trainers on the way to Koga. We take an early Toxic from Coughing, and although it's clear that we can win this battle, the poison damage from Toxic stacks up a little bit too much and costs Bahamut his first reset. Next time, with a Pecha Berry equipped, I set up 2 DDs against Coughing. He hit Toxic, which are Berry Cured and Smokescreen, but lucky for us, Aerial Ace can't miss. We do miss, the one shot against Wheezing that is, but it's an easy cleanup and we're moving on with 6 badges in hand. Next we find ourselves on Cinnabar Island, where I plan to defeat every trainer in Blaine's gym. Being a part of the slow growth rate group generally leads to additional grinding, and based on our first league battle being against Lorelei, we have to prepare ourselves. We saw how she treated Dragonite after all. Against Blaine, I set up 2 DDs against her lead Growlithe before taking it out with Brick Break. We have to deal with 2 Intimidates this battle, and I'm very low on PP after the additional grinding. Ponyta and Rapidash both fall, but now we face his Ace Arcanine at neutral attack. Aerial Ace is doing over 1/3, so I switch to Bite for the chance to flinch. We don't get it, but we take him out on the next turn with Aerial Ace. After defeating Blaine, mirroring the routing of the other pseudos, I elect to say yes to Bill outside of Cinnabar Gym. This will complete the first part of the Sevi Island plotline. It's not required for the Round 1 League, but since we have a Round 2 finish in mind, we might as well get it done while we're here. Every little bit to help us prepare for Lorelei will help. Before continuing to the 8th gym, I make a detour back to Rock Tunnel. Here we can fill a coverage hole that I had in Dragonite's Learn Set with Rock Slide. I believe that this move is going to seriously alter how Bahamut is able to navigate the league in comparison to the others. I then defeat the trainers in Giovanni's gym before taking on our 8th gym leader. We're at level 51 coming into the battle, setting up a single DD against Rhyhorn while he uses Scary Face. Even at -1 speed though, we're still fast enough to outspeed with the Eggception of Dugtrio and Oko his entire team. Bahamut has completed the gym challenge. Our final challenge before the league is Rival 6. I set up a single DD against Pidgeot while he wing attacks us for nearly nothing. Rockslide gets the Oko. Gyarados is out, intimidating us back to neutral attack, so we miss the range and don't quite take him out. Even using Brick Break against Rhyhorn, we miss the Oko, but he takes himself out with recoil damage. That double Intimidate sure is nasty, so against Growlithe I set up 1 more DD, bringing us back to neutral, taking him out and the following Alakazam. Our Stab super effective Aerial Ace doesn't have enough damage to take out Venusaur, but he's only interested in using Growth, so we take the victory. I did a little bit of additional grinding in Victory Road, so once we're out of there and hitting the league doors, we're at level 55. Bahamut hits the league doors at 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 31 seconds, which is slightly slower than Dragonite's initial playthrough, but we've done all of the grinding that he hadn't to this point. Welcome to the Round 1 League. Before entering the battle, I used 5 rare candies, bringing Bahamut to level 60. This is the level that Lorelei became possible for Dragonite, so let's see how it goes for Bahamut. Turn 1 I set up while tanking a massive Ice Beam, barely. The following turn I knock out Dugong, but we're pretty slim on options right now. That pesky 90% accuracy causes a miss against Slowbro, leaving us open for another Ice Beam and a reset. In the next attempt, things are seemingly going better, with Dugong allowing us to set up twice while only setting up Hail and Safeguard herself. We can then Oko with Brick Break, and this puts us in a great position for Slowbro. We miss the Oko barely, with the Hail damage also just barely missing the mark, but she used Yawn. Okay, I don't have a berry equipped, and unless we wake up turn 1, I think this might be over. Slowbro takes us out again. With another reset in between, I now have a Chesto Berry equipped and have leveled up to 63 over the next damage rounding threshold. I get my 2 turns of setup in against Dugong while tanking another 4 times super effective Ice Beam. Alright, come on, Aerial Ace gets the Oko this time against Slowbro. From there we Oko Jinx, then Brick Break handles Lapras, and Cloyster in the back. We just needed to get past that darn Slowbro, it seems. Against Bruno, we really have an easy time on our hands. He hits a super effective Stab Rock Tomb against us, but it's doing pathetic damage because of Intimidate while we set up keeping our speed neutral but with +1 attack. Brick Break Okos. Aerial Ace then one-shots his Hitmons, and Machamp bringing us back to his second Onix. Snake! It's a snake! So Brick Break badgers him away. There isn't much to be said about the Agatha battle. Aerial Ace negates her lead Gengar's love of setting up double team, and with the exception of throwing in 1 additional DD against Arbok because of the Intimidate, this battle is incredibly one-sided. Bahamut is cruising through this league. Against Dragon Master Lance, I use the same strategy that I discovered for both Tyranitar and Dragonite. Tank hits from his lead Gyarados while setting up. Bahamut gets the advantage of Rock Slide as well, so we won't need nearly the setup Dragonite did. 3 DDs brings us to +2 attack, and we take out Gyarados. Aerial Ace handles his 2 Dragonairs, leading us into his Ace Dragonite. Rock Slide gets the Oko, and with our setup, we easily outspeed, and Rock Slide gets another clean one-shot against Aerodactyl. That's how a true dragon performs, Master. Our last challenge in round 1 is the champion. He leads with Pidgeot, who I wasn't going to mess around with much, but then he opens up with Sand Attack as we DD. Well, in for a penny, in for a pound, I guess. I set up to +3 before taking out Bird Brains. I set up once more against Gyarados and miss a Rock Slide. Of course I missed it, I'm at -3. Aerial Ace gets the job done. Oh boy, Rhydon could be nasty if we miss, but we don't. Brick Break takes him out. Aerial Ace then takes out Alakazam, bringing us to Arcanine with another Intimidate. This Intimidate makes us miss the range against it, but we get it on the second shot. In hindsight, I could have just set up once more while he healed. Venusaur is last and gets taken out with ease from a +2 stab super effective Aerial Ace for the victory. Is it just me, or did that first league attempt kind of rock? Granting I'm leaning on prior knowledge, but Bahamut just kicked some goals. Bahamut clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 6 seconds at level 66 with 4 resets. This took 4 hours and 16 minutes of game time. I complete the rest of the Sevi Island plotline, only stopping to grab the leftovers from Snorlax along the way. Based on the other pseudos, Salamence should have a pretty easy time with the next league, assuming Lorelei doesn't brick wall him too badly. We're helping her out here, she should give us a break, right? Welcome to the Round 2 League. Along with some team and moveset changes, all league members have had their teams increased by around 12 levels. Before entering, I used almost the last of my rare candies, bringing Bahamut to level 73, again reflecting what I had to do for Dragonite. I set up once and miss a few times, thankfully connecting before Dugong could get 2 set up with double teams. I missed the Oko against Cloyster with Brick Break, but can use the healing turn to set up 1 more DD. The range she summoned doesn't protect her against a +2 super effective Brick Break. We then Oko Piloswine, Jinx, and Lapras with ease because of our setup. Bruno is going to be a very similar battle to his round 1 counterpart. I've mentioned plenty about intimidating affecting us, but I haven't taken a moment to recognize that Bahamut kicks off every battle by intimidating our opponent. This allows us to set up so easily against Steelix, up to +3, while his stab super effective Rock Tombs are not doing that much. That setup then allows us to slice through his remaining team. I try opening against Agatha by getting her lead Gengar out of the way quickly. We don't have great options against her usual tactics aside from brute force. We miss the Oko while she hits a Psychic, dropping our special defense. I use her healing turn to set up once and then take out Gengar. Crobat is next, getting obliterated by a Rock Slide. Arbok intimidates, so we miss the Oko, but then I use the opportunity to set up a little bit more before taking her down. Her Ace Gengar holds on with a sliver as well, so I set up again and take it down. Finally, Misdreavus in the back is an easy cleanup. Alright, this is where I believe Salamence really sets itself apart. Because of our access to Rock Slide, I don't need a ton of setup against Dragon Doctoral Lance. His lead will most of the time try to paralyze you with Thunder Wave, which he does here, but I have a Lumberry equipped, curing it and getting in a turn of setup for free. We miss the Oko next turn, but we get the flinch, so I use the heal turn to set up once more and take him out. It takes a little dancing around with Kingdra, but Rock Slide handles his team without issue. The biggest key to that battle is not being paralyzed, it seems. Bahamut had the advantage of the flinch against Gyarados here, so I'll have to test it to see if it's consistent. Against the champion's lead Heracross, we can use the same type of strategy that we used against Bruno. Our Intimidate greatly improves our ability to set up, getting up to +4 while still in green health. +4, 4 times super effective Stab Aerial Ace deletes Heracross. I set up so much against his lead to avoid doing it later, taking out Gyarados immediately with Rock Slide. 4 times super effective Brick Break destroys Tyranitar, and Aerial Ace Oko's Alakazam. Rock Slide deals with Arcanine, and suddenly the rival is down to only his Ace Venusaur, who is no threat to us, getting taken down by one more Aerial Ace. Alright, admittedly, I leaned a lot on lessons learned in my previous runs, but there were still some mistakes that I made and time that can be made up in the next playthrough. Bahamut clocks in with a round 2 time of 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 29 seconds at level 76 with 4 resets. This took 5 hours and 15 minutes of game time. Alright, so if we were comparing this solely to the first playthrough, Salamence just wiped the floor with the others. The best time in the first playthroughs was Metagross at 1 hour, 46 and 7 seconds, which we just crushed by over 20 minutes. But it's the second playthrough results that matter to me, so let's see what Salamence changed in his second run. Leading into Brock, the only thing that I changed was defeating all of the bug catchers in Viridian Forest instead of just most of them. Brock can be a bit nasty with Rock Tomb. In this battle though, it seems like my preparation was a little unwarranted as he misses one and flinches on the next turn, so we're moving on without even taking a hit. My next deviation in strategy is that I won't be teaching Rock Tomb. Salamence had more than enough capability of taking down Rival 2 without it, and I'd like to keep Rage, yes, Rage, on my moveset to make catching my HM cheerleaders more consistent. On my way through Mount Moon, I grab the Dome Fossil. Shout out to all of the Dome fans for showing their love in the comments. My revised strategy against Rival 2 demonstrates that I was correct about not teaching Rock Tomb. Without getting a guaranteed one-shot, we might as well keep the consistency of Rage for catching the cheerleaders. Just promise not to tell anyone that I chose Rage over anything, okay? I then defeat Misty, Rival 3 on the SSN, and Lieutenant Surge using the same strategies as last run. Coming into the mid-game, we're a couple seconds behind last run, but we'll more than make up for it. Instead of backtracking later, I elect to teach Rock Slide on our first pass through Rock Tunnel. We'll be replacing Bite as I felt it had some usefulness in the mid-game, but not enough to justify keeping it. I skip picking up TM27 Return as we didn't use it at all last run and proceed through the first part of the mid-game. I'm only grabbing the PP up in Celadon as in combination with Stab Aerial Ace it gives us almost all of the PowerPoint flexibility that we need in the next section of the game. I clear the hideout, defeat Erica, and then Rival 4 in Pokemon Tower, again following the same route. This puts us back in Silphco where I collect the same items and prepare myself to take on Rival 5. Rival 5 goes slightly differently this time with the addition of Rock Slide to our moveset. I mean, not too differently as we still rocked him last time, we just rock him harder this time. Because Rock Slide rocked him, get it? It gives us a bit of extra flexibility, and remember, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. I then defeat Giovanni, still getting poisoned, then a quick clearing of Sabrina, the fighting dojo, and we're on our way to Fuchsia. I know we're moving really quickly through this second playthrough, but nothing really has changed from the last run. I'm not doing any additional grinding along Cycling Road, as even though the EVs are great, we can find better experience density elsewhere. Koga got a little hairy last run, so here's what I did to fix it. I equipped a Pecha Berry. Yep, that's about it. I realize that I've been blazing through the second playthrough, but Salamence played so intuitively, and given that it is now my 8th run with a pseudo-legendary, I feel like I have a decent grasp on them. Koga falls on the first attempt. We quickly find ourselves back at Blaine's gym, where grabbing Rock Slide earlier continues to be beneficial. I followed the same route as last time, clearing all of the trainers in his gym, and now with Rock Slide on our moveset, I felt like Blaine would be a cakewalk. He still ends up getting a fair amount of damage in against us. Thank you, Meowth, for picking up that Rostberry for my burn earlier. We even missed the Oko against Arcanine, but that's okay because this battle is still very one-sided. I, again, follow the same route, clearing the first part of the Sevi Islands, but don't clear all of the trainers in Giovanni's gym this time. I felt like there was more experience density to be found in Victory Road, and I tried to eke out a little extra time save. The Giovanni fight goes pretty much the same, though we miss the range against Nidoqueen this time. We still stomp him flat, though. I then defeat Rival 6, and complete the last bit of training that I want to do in Victory Road. This will level us, just like last time, to 55 before hitting the league doors. This time, with our grinding complete, Salamence hits the league doors at 1 hour and 33 seconds, just under 2 minutes faster than last playthrough. Before kicking off against Lorelei, I used 8 rare candies, bringing us to level 63, which should give us a consistent battle. A single DD, then Brick Break, handles her lead Dugong. Slowbro is our big wild card, though. I do have a Chesto Berry equipped in case she yawns again, but this time she only goes for Amnesia, allowing us the 2-shot with Aerial Ace. From there, her Jinx, Lapras, and Cloyster all fall to Brick Break. In this battle, I was slightly suboptimal and used a second setup turn without any purpose. That is all, because we don't talk about Bruno, no. I have a Chesto Berry equipped leading into Agatha, but of course she chooses to go for Confuse Ray turn 1 while I set up a DD. I hurt myself in Confusion, twice, before taking her down, but we're still confused. I hit myself in Confusion again against Golbat, so after her Air Cutter, we're only at 46 health, fortunately snapping on the next turn and taking her out. After that nasty bit of bad luck, though, we get some good luck, getting 2 consecutive crits against Arbok and her Ace Gengar, leaving Haunter for an easy cleanup in the back. Agatha, you are a roller coaster of emotions on the best of days. We've already seen this Lance battle and just how effective Salamence is at kicking his butt. Instead, I'll continue correcting things that I got wrong in the previous video, like when I said that 550 kilo equals 212.5 pounds. Make that 1,212.5 pounds. I even had it right in my script. My brain-mouth connection was a little bit weak last week, admittedly. Sometimes things just slip by me, and I'm glad I can rely on all of you out there to have my back in the comments. That just leaves the champion for round 1. I start setting up against Pidgeot immediately because despite the pain of Sand Attack, we can work around it with Aerial Ace. Unfortunately, he goes for Feather Dance, which is the worst case scenario and typically quite unlikely, losing 2 attack stages, so we're now at -1. Because of this, it sends Salamence on a bit of a death spiral, unable to recover, and we end up getting taken out by Rhydon. It's been a minute since Rhydon took me out, and I don't like that. After getting our first reset, Pidgeot behaves in the second battle, allowing us to set up to +2 attack after Gyarados' Intimidate before taking him out. With proper setup, Rhydon is now an Oko, followed by Alakazam, Arcanine, and his Ace Venusaur in the back. The funny thing with the Gen 3 AI is that it's never 100% consistent. Even round 2 Lance's Gyarados 95% of the time will go for Thunder Wave, but will randomly go for Dragon Dance sometimes. Oh, the quirks of an RNG heavy game. Salamence clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 14 seconds at level 66 with 1 reset. This took 4 hours and 12 minutes of game time. Jumping right back into the action with the round 2 league, we're hitting a point where I feel like things are getting a little repetitive and I'm struggling with how to mix up my dialogue. Lorelei goes identically to how we've seen her fight go a few times amongst the various pseudos, with us getting a turn of setup, missing the Oko on Cloyster, and then setting up once more, and sweeping. There's only so many ways I can gild the lily. Against Brune, no, I get my setup and sweep again, so let's discuss another something that was mentioned in the comments. It was requested that I have a current moveset on the overlay, which would mean that without adding a significant amount of time to my editing process, I would need to implement GameHook. It is something that I plan on pursuing in the future, but as it stands, my current computer can't even handle running the appropriate emulator at 4 times speed, let alone recording footage and adding other dynamic elements. These are changes I intend to implement in the future. Please be patient with me, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and my decade-old computer can only handle so much. Pat, pat, pat. Against Agatha, I equip another Chesto Berry in favor of leftovers. She misses her first Hypnosis, so I capitalize on the opportunity, getting a second one in, this time with Hypnosis hitting and triggering our berry. I can then start sweeping, taking out Gengar, Crobat with Rock Slide, grabbing one more DD against Arbok before OHKOing with Aerial Ace, then her Ace Gengar, and Misdreavus in the back. That felt a lot smoother than last time. It's time for Dragon Doctoral Lance, and this is admittedly where my testing may have fallen a bit short. I chose to not add Substitute to our moveset because, to be honest, I've already run that set on Dragonite. Tyranitar had the advantage of Stab with Rock Slide, so we're doing less damage than it and need that one extra turn of setup against Gyarados to avoid being paralyzed. In my first attempt, you can see how getting paralyzed opens us up to a huge amount of additional damage, and we end up resetting again. In my next attempt, I get by the Gyarados avoiding the paralysis, but try getting a little extra setup in against Dragonite. I wasn't anticipating a Hyper Beam crit though, so we take another reset. Alright, fine, things like that are bound to happen now and then. I get my setup in against Gyarados again, this time in incredible shape, moving through his Lesser Dragonite and grabbing an extra turn of setup against Kingdra before taking it out. His Ace Dragonite is out, and we miss the OHKO, taking him into Deep Red Bar, to which he responds with a 4-time super effective Ice Beam that freezes us. Come on! We don't thaw, and Outrage takes us out. Oh my goodness. Alright, Gyarados goes down. Dragonite goes down. I get an extra DD in against Kingdra, then take it down. We're in the exact same shape as last attempt, and this time we get the range, taking down his Ace Dragonite. Aerodactyl falls shortly after. That was a little bit frustrating, but I'm pretty sure we're past our last hurdle. I have my leftovers back on for the Round 2 champion. Going in, our moveset is Aerial Ace, Rock Slide, Brick Break, and Dragon Dance. I set up to +4 against Heracross, even tanking a critical Rock Tomb from it along the way before super duper charged Aerial Ace makes him go away. Rock Slide OHKOs Gyarados, then Brick Break for Tyranitar. Aerial Ace handles Alakazam, another Rock Slide for Arcanine, and despite getting hit by 2 Intimidates, we face his Ace Venusaur still at +2, getting the OHKO with Stab super effective Aerial Ace. Well, despite Round 2 Lance trying his best to upset us, I feel like that playthrough went pretty darn well. I'll post the time splits in a second because I actually find them very fascinating. Salamence clocks in with a Round 2 time of 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 27 seconds at level 76 with 4 resets. This took 5 hours and 12 minutes of game time. So let's take a second to examine how Salamence improved before comparing it to our other pseudos. We actually see a ton of fluctuation through Salamence's second playthrough compared to the first. Most of this I attribute to playing at 4 times game speed, hitting some spinners while avoiding others as we progressed. Things really come together at the end of the Giovanni split, where we then had our optimizations pay off, putting us 2 minutes ahead. We then defeated the Round 1 League nearly 3 minutes faster, but those darn wipes to Round 2 Lance made our final time gain only 1 minute and 2 seconds. And hey, we were 3 minutes faster in game time, woohoo! Against the other pseudos, Salamence takes the win, crowning it the new pseudo champion. As you can see, Salamence was the least improved between its individual runs, but that also comes with the experience of having played 6 pseudo runs prior to even starting Salamence. Metagross still gave it a good run for its money though through the mid-game, but I believe it's Salamence's ability to set up with a move pool that had good coverage that set it apart. In the Round 1 League, we actually lose to Metagross by a margin, but that ability to set up really accelerated the Round 2 League for Salamence, giving it the overall victory. Just like poor Tyranitar suffered from Weather Text, Salamence definitely suffered from Intimidate Text. It's looking like it'll be once I can afford a hardware upgrade, but I'm egg-cited to break into newer generations so that I can rerun these pseudos with updated mechanics. Moxie would be so much more fun to run than Intimidate, despite how useful it proved to be. This ends our exploration into the pseudo-legendary Pokemon in the first 3 generations. I hope you're all okay with a slightly shorter video this week. Last week's 3-way kinda kicked my butt into the middle of this week. Our next several videos will be covering the fossils, pitting all 5 against each other over 3 videos. I will only be using Pokemon that are revived from fossils, so don't go getting all lore crazy and telling me that I missed one. But actually, yeah, do that. I enjoy learning from your comments. Doo-doo. I've been trying lately to be more aware of things that are mentioned in the comments. Everything from number corrections, which I'm sure there are plenty of, to comments about my footage moving too fast, sometimes making it hard to follow. I'm listening and I'm trying to improve, so thank you all for your feedback. Another massive thank you to my YouTube members and Patreon patrons. I am so grateful for your donations and blown away by your generosity. I'm getting paid to play Pokemon. Well, mostly edit and script videos, but come on, the core concept is playing Pokemon. As always, if you've made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. I am so excited to jump into these next few videos about the fossils. They have been a hot topic of debate in the comments, and well, you asked for it, so I'll deliver. If you feel like I've earned it, consider leaving a like and comment, as it really helps my channel to grow. We recently hit 1,000 subs, and I'm really looking forward to continuing to grow this community. Leave a comment about the runs, what you'd like to see in the future, or just to say hi. And in case I miss you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Of course, we can't go out without mentioning that substrat's best strat, so if you'd like to keep up with my future content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Until next time, take care everyone.